Now, a major study at 22 minutes past 7 is underway to find out more about the problems faced by patients taking a large number of different medicines.
Keeping track of what and when to take various pills can be extremely difficult, and it's a particular issue for elderly people with several health complications.
It's believed issues with medication lead to almost 6,000 deaths a year and cost more than £1 billion. Breakfast's John Maguire has been finding out more.
Here on my left then is Viburnum Davidii, and we're walking on the lawn now. I don't maintain my lawn because I can't see to mow it.
As a former landscape architect, Graham Price is justifiably proud of his garden. He's pointing out the features and the plants purely from memory, as he is blind. Imagine then how difficult it was for him to give his late wife Maureen 11 different types of medication every day. Graham struggled on for 4 years until he decided he could no longer cope.
You can't see and you're trying to find somebody's face. I was exhausted and I was suicidal. I mean, I can't believe a character like me who's assertive, strong, confident, and I just got to the point where I felt this was well beyond my ability to cope, and I couldn't cope and I wouldn't cope, etc., etc. And I rang the clinician. I said, if you don't want 2 people on your workload, I need help.
Now, a major study is trying to determine just how big this problem is. Dr. Geoff Wong is a researcher at the University of Oxford and a GP in London. He says medicines aren't necessarily overprescribed, but believes sometimes there are alternative approaches.
It's more because you're trying to do the best for that individual. But each time you try and do the best for them, you might just add a little more. And then some of these medications are much more about risk reduction. So risk reduction may be very, very useful for a younger person. So someone who's had a heart attack in their 50s, you know, they're probably going to want to have something that'll keep them going into their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. If you've had one when you're in your 90s, you may or may not want to think about whether you want another medication.
Medicines are more advanced and more effective than ever before, and they have to be. Now, as our population becomes increasingly older and medical conditions are more complex, people will take an increasing range of medications. But problems with medication is believed to be a factor in almost 6,000 deaths in the UK every year. And at a cost of more than £1 billion. So, Aston University in Birmingham is looking for answers, gathering evidence from a range of sources, including doctors, pharmacists, and crucially, patients.
We need to listen to the patients and understand what we can do to improve their quality of life they get from medication. I think it's possibly some technology, okay? It's possibly integrating social care and health care. We need a whole system-wide approach.
The research will take place over the next 20 months. Identifying the problems and potential solutions is one thing, but as Dr. Maidment says, this was an issue when he first qualified as a pharmacist 30 years ago. And he argues the problem is getting worse. John Maguire, BBC News, Birmingham.